town hall. And just know that we wanted to put this together so that we can keep everyone up to date on what's been going on and how we're moving forward through this pandemic. I'm Ava Mullen, Family and Student Support Coordinator. You all get all of my text blasts and emails, otherwise you probably wouldn't be here. So I thank you for responding over the pandemic. The response to emails and to communications has been really great, and we really appreciate that. So before we really get started, a couple of housekeeping things. I want to make sure everyone knows that they should mute themselves. And we're going to go through the whole presentation. Your questions can be entered in the chat box. We have a monitor. Ms. Williams will be monitoring the chat, and at the end, she will direct the questions to us, and then we will respond to all questions. Okay?
Okay.
So remember that you're going to be putting your questions in the chat. You won't get a response right away, possibly, but you will get a response at the end. We'll try to make sure that we answer everything. Also, we are recording this town hall so that families who can't attend today can go on to one of our social media platforms and review the information that we've shared. So we are recording this. And again, remember, all of your questions will be answered. So we're really excited. I said that already. I am particularly excited to see everyone. I've missed all of our families so much. We've been through such a lot. When we started at the beginning, we had the pandemic started in the spring of the year, and we had to close school. We really got on top of things quickly. I think we did a great job of that. Our leadership did a great job of making sure that we were reaching out to families, communicating with them, getting information to you all. We didn't quite have the technology at that time for everyone to have a Chromebook, but now we do. So we are completely a one-to-one school. So regardless of what choice you make or what happens, because we know that anything can happen, every student will have access to a Chromebook so that they can be online with their teachers, they can be educated and go through the classroom, everything. And we're really excited about that. So some families did receive Chromebooks in the spring. Those families who needed it, I think, lent out almost 200 Chromebooks, and that was almost all we had at the time. But again, now we have enough for everyone. So I don't want anyone to worry or think that they won't have access. Everyone will have access. And we will also gear our parent trainings and meetings toward helping parents be better savvy on the technology that we have, so that you are able to help your students if they're at home. And just one thing too, also to rest assured, is our students, especially our current PACE students, students that have been with us all along, are very familiar with the Chromebooks and the technology. They know exactly what to do and how to use them. They know how to care for them. They know what to do and not to do when they're using the Chromebooks. And they can probably help you out with that. But we definitely want to make sure that we are addressing parents' needs and technology, and that we are making sure that you are able to help your students at home. And again, we sent out the information for the registration. I don't know if everyone here has already completed their registration. Some people may have been waiting for this town hall meeting to do so, but we're urging everyone by August 10th. We've got a wonderful timeline in place so that we're ready on August 31st to educate our kids and start learning again. But August 10th is the deadline that we want to know from everyone what your decision is. So I will continue to send that information out via text blast and email. You can always respond back to me and all the different platforms to let me know whether or not you have that information. So reach out to us. We'll be reaching out to you. If you don't respond by August 10th, we're going to send the other Ms. Mullen after you. She's going to start making those phone calls so that we can know how we're going to service your family. So we want to make sure that you're also visiting our website regularly. Like us on Facebook. We're working on all of our social media platforms so that we can keep you up to date of what's going on. I am going to now, oh, one other thing, I keep looking at my messages. So we are still enrolling families. If you know of a family who is looking for a school, please send them our way. They can go on our website. You know, that's www.pacek-8.com. The registration information is there. And we're working on an incentive for parents who refer, a cash incentive for parents who refer students. So we're looking for that to come shortly as well. And I'm going to pass over to Ms. Rye. She's our assistant principal, and she's going to talk about state and local updates. Ms. Rye.
Hi, everyone. It is so great to see everybody. Rest assured that the leadership team has been hard at work creating a plan to reopen the building. As a state, on June 30th, the Governor Whitmore, she had been working with the COVID-19 task force on education return to school advisory, and they created a 63-page document for schools, and they're calling it the Michigan Safe Schools Return to School Roadmap. Like I said, that was 63 pages. Inside of that roadmap, it tells you about the 6 different phases that we can be in as a state. Southfield and Detroit, we are located in Region 1. So we always want to look at the COVID numbers and cases that are happening in Region 1. That's where Detroit and Southfield. In this roadmap planned by the governor and the task force, there are 6 phases. Currently, we are in phase 4. Phase 4 means we can open up our school building to welcome students for face-to-face instruction with rigorous requirements for health, safety, PPE, hygiene. In the event, as a region, if we move to phase 1, 2, or 3, we cannot open up our school building to welcome students. So I just want to restate that we are in phase 4 right now. In the event, as our region, if we regress and move backwards and we are in phase 3, we close our school building and we shift everybody to virtual learning. In this roadmap, it was a huge undertaking, the magnitude of the work. So we created 3 different task forces at our school. We had a task force that planned the overall school plan with operations. We had a health and safety task force. We also had an instructional task force. Those included board members, teachers, administrators, office staff, security, a lot of different positions in our building. And we looked through the road plan and we created a plan for Pace Academy. The scope of the work was very, very large, and we had about 50 people working with us on what this plan should be. We also have a partnership with the Oakland County Health Department. They have a Southfield location. So we are in constant communication with the health department on CDC guidelines and what to do in the event we have cases in or outside of our building. Please note, this is all subject to change as this invisible disease is changing daily. But we do have that partnership, and it's been a great partnership so far. We do have a great plan in place, and whatever choice you make as a parent, whether you choose to send your child back to school or whether you choose to go virtual, you will have a highly qualified teacher, and there is no wrong choice. You know the dynamics in your household, you know what's best for your family. And we can assure you that if you send your children to the school building for face-to-face learning, we will have every single health and safety precaution and we're going to be very overly precautious, and we'll get into those later on into the presentation. Again, if you have any questions, please put your questions in the chat box and we will answer them at the end. I'm going to throw it to Mrs. Petway.
Good morning, everyone. It's so good to see everyone. I hope everyone is doing well. Today, I am going to talk a little bit about the choice plan that we have put together for the 2021 school year. As Ms. Rye stated, there is no wrong choice, right? We wanted to create a plan that would meet the needs of our families making this decision. We have our traditional in-person learning model. It is very similar and very typical to any other school year. Students will be in school from 7:40 until 3:25 with their teacher. The only difference in that plan, we are looking at no more than 16 students in a classroom to allow for social distancing. And on Fridays, we will close the building for some extensive cleaning. So on Fridays, our traditional in-person students will work from home, either through technology or from assignments they have been assigned by their teacher. What is new for us this year is our virtual platform that we are offering families. I do want to state that back in March, we were responding to an emergency. And as you all are aware, we had to respond quickly. Now we've had months to prepare, and we have worked really hard to align instruction to be very similar between in-person and virtual. So I do want to state that if virtual is the option for you, your child will receive the same rigorous instruction. It will just be done remotely. They will receive a schedule. They will have to be live, participating in live learning. They will have practice work. They will have independent work. They will have homework. Attendance will be taken daily. They will receive grades. It is essentially our traditional model done virtually with the same guidelines and the same expectations, and also using the same curriculum. So everything will be aligned. In addition to that, our staff will use Google Classroom as their mode of organization, assigning and collecting assignments virtually. Those classrooms will be located in a central location on our school website, just to make it a little bit more easier for you all to access. As Ms. Mullen mentioned earlier, we will have parent training on how to use Google Classroom, and everything else that we're offering virtually. We will make sure that we take time to educate our family on our digital tools. I do see some questions that have came through on the chat that I can answer. We are looking at Chromebook distribution starting August 24th for virtual students. Every student that is registered for virtual will receive a Chromebook. You are not capped by your family size. If a student is registered for virtual, they will receive a Chromebook to keep at home for learning use. Students that are in the building will also be assigned Chromebooks, because we are aware that at any time, our in-person students could possibly go virtual, and we want to be prepared for that. And we want to make sure that they have the technology and resources needed. Again, just keep putting your comments or questions or concerns in the chat box. We will answer them more towards the end. And just keep in mind, the deadline to register is Monday, August 10th. We are very excited. We need these registrations to come in so that we can further plan. And now I am going to turn it over to Ms. Rye, who is going to talk a little bit more about safety.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Petway. So in the event you do decide that your family dynamics is going to have you send your child to the school building for face-to-face instruction, I want to go over some of the safety and health precautions that will be in the building, so you get an idea of what the school day will be like. The first thing is personal protective equipment, masks. Every single staff member has to wear a mask. All students in grades 2nd through 8th grade have to wear a mask, not only in the classroom, but also in the hallways and any common areas. Students in kindergarten and 1st grade, we will not require them to wear them in the classroom, but they have to wear them in the hallways and common areas. If you take the bus, you have to have a mask on the bus. Nobody is allowed to enter our building without a mask. We will be providing disposable masks for students to make sure that they're entering with a mask. For hygiene, we will have safety and cleaning supplies in every single classroom and office. We will have touchless hand sanitizer stations inside of each classroom. All of our bulletin boards, and we do have a school nurse, which you'll be hearing from her lately, is going to go over what does it mean to wash your hands. So we want to teach and reinforce ensuring that we have these healthy hygiene habits of washing hands, and we'll be creating a schedule to limit the amount of students that are using the restroom to be able to wash their hands as much as possible. Spacing, movement, and access. We will only have 16 students in each classroom. The reason we have 16 students is because every single desk will be placed 6 feet apart. If we have enough virtual
Did everyone freeze?
to ensure all desks are 6 feet apart. Fine arts teachers, and in grades 4th through 8th grade, where you have multiple subject area teachers, students will stay in the classroom. Teachers will rotate and come into the classroom. So that means the art teacher will come into the classroom. If you have a 4th through 8th grader, the subject area teachers, they will move. Your child stays in one area. Lunch, so we can social distance, lunch will be in the classroom. We will be changing our arrival policy. We are going to be having an arrival policy that students go straight from the car to the classroom. We don't want any type of congregation in our building. So what that means is your child will go from the car to the classroom, and we are going to be requesting a temperature check. We will check your child's temperature before we let them even into our building. The cutoff for the temperature is 99.5. If your child has a temperature of 99.5 or above, you will not be able to drive off unless someone from Pace Academy has given you the green light or a thumbs up to be able to leave the premises. In the event that your child has a temperature of above 99.5, they're going to have to get back into the car or stay in the car, and they are not allowed to come into our building unless that temperature gets lowered. So we want you to be able to monitor that. That is the same with adults. That's the same with our staff. No staff member is allowed into the building without that temperature check. I am now going to introduce you to Nurse Hardaway, who is our nurse at the school. Pace Academy is very lucky to have a nurse that is physically at our school building daily. So Nurse Hardaway. Nurse Hardaway, can you unmute yourself?
Okay, am I unmuted?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, good morning. This is Nurse Hardaway coming to you. I'm so glad to be able to be here to talk to you about this. I am so looking forward to our return to school, and I know that everything is just going to go swimmingly because we have worked very hard to make that so. I am here as your medical person, and we can discuss signs and symptoms, safe practices that we're going to be using during school, what to look for at home prior to coming to school, quarantine practices that may need to be taken if necessary. We're going to talk about temps that need to be taken before entering the building, and we will be using touchless thermometers. The temperature, as Mrs. Reyes indicated, has to be 99. I mean, if it's 99.5 or higher, the student will be asked to go home. Temperatures must be within normal range for at least 24 hours before the student will be allowed to return. We're going to need a signed consent for that so that you guys understand that that is critically important and we cannot deviate from that. A child must be taken home if the child is showing any signs or symptoms. And I know that we're focusing on COVID, but I have sent numerous letters home speaking to viruses in general. There is no such thing as a little virus. Viruses are contagious and everyone can be affected by it. Not only the COVID virus, but other viruses as well. And unfortunately, our little buggers carry a lot of those bugs. So we have to be very careful and even more cautious now as we enter into this new dimension. Education will be given for social distancing, sharing, physical or PDA, hygienic practices, and we're going to really emphasize washing hands. And I'll talk about what happens when a child is symptomatic at school and the precautions that we're going to take if we need to, if that's necessary. I think that Mrs. Williams follows me. So if you have any questions for me, I'm here to answer them, and thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna start reading out some of the questions for your answers. Let's see, some of them are the same, so I don't want to repeat. Just to make sure, Ms. Petway, when will the Chromebooks be distributed? Do you have a date?
Yes, we will start that process August 24th.
Okay. Another question, will every child in the household receive a Chromebook? And also, will there be a hotspot for those who may not have internet?
Every student will receive a Chromebook. It doesn't matter the family size. We move into one-to-one for every single student. You can look for possibly a separate survey around hotspots to see what is the need. We will work to get every family what they need to go virtual, what is needed.
This is for Nurse Hardaway. What would be a circumstance that would cause our region to regress back to phase 3 or below?
If a student shows signs or symptoms of what might be considered COVID, we would have to then quarantine, close the building, institute thermal cleaning practices, and make sure that that child is tested and cleared.
Yeah, let me add on to that. So as a region, we right now are in phase 4, meaning we've already flattened the curve. As a region, if we do move back to phase 3, that means we're most likely under a stay-at-home mandate that's been put in place by the governor because we need to flatten the curve again. Right now, it is safe to go out as long as you're social distancing, you have your masks, and you're following all of those requirements. In the event we do regress to phase 3, we have to shut down our entire school building and everyone goes to remote learning.
Thank you. Several people have asked if you choose, whatever your choice is, if you decide to change it from, say, virtual to face-to-face,
would you be able to do that at any time?
Right now, we're looking at three reasons that will cause a change in a decision. We are asking that, for the most part, parents commit to either virtual or in person so that we can keep our numbers the same. We want social distancing, and 16 students or less in a classroom is a priority. However, if, again, we change as a region, so if we change as a region, we will, let's say we move up to phase 5, we will allow families an opportunity to re-enroll, because we understand that if we're changing as a region, then your responsibilities at work may be changing also. And so maybe if your kids are virtual now, and now you have to report to work, maybe virtual isn't the best option. So at that point, you will be able to re-enroll. If you are in person and your child tests positive for COVID, you know, they're around someone, you test positive for COVID, and let's say we quarantine for 14 days, but you're not comfortable sending them back to school just because of the exposure, then that could be a reason to re-enroll as well. And then any further decisions will be handled as the leadership team. So if you have any personal unique circumstances that would allow you to need to re-enroll, then you would contact someone from the leadership team, and then we will handle it case by case. I hope that answers the question.
How will you determine, since there will only be no more than 16 students per class, how will you determine if there are more people that would like to be face-to-face? How will you determine what students will get the spots face-to-face?
At this time, we will not turn away students. Right now, our enrollment is looking as if that won't be an issue. But it's a staffing thing. So we work that out at the building level, making sure that we have enough certified teachers to teach students with that small class size. So there are two things. We won't turn away any student that wants in-person learning, and we will not put more than 16 students in a classroom.
Thank you. I want to reiterate, can everyone please mute yourselves? Thank you. The next thing is, several people have asked, will the building be deep cleaned daily?
Yeah, there are cleaning protocols that support the safety and wellness and to mitigate the environmental health risks of how this disease works. So we are going to meet all of the cleaning protocols and products that we need. And on top of that, our custodial crew will get additional training on cleaning. Not only will they be doing cleaning each evening, they'll have the deep cleaning day on Friday. But as the school day goes, every 1 to 2 hours, they will be cleaning surface areas that are touched very regularly, such as door handles, the button for the elevator, the telephones, and teachers will also have those supplies, and that will be the expectation for inside the classroom too.
Okay. As far as instruction goes, how will virtual be done, and will there be a virtual tutor or supplemental instruction for the virtual students?
Okay, I heard the first part of the question, the second part about tutoring.
Okay.
What was the first part? I'm sorry.
I think they just kind of want a brief overview of how the school day will go virtual.
Okay, so each grade level, the teacher will send a virtual schedule. All core subjects will be taught live. So we will ask for students to log into their Chromebook and go live with their teacher. So as their teacher is teaching, they will be participating and engaging live. As far as supporting students who may need additional support, teachers will receive training on how to work with students in small groups virtually. We will have a time in our schedule for teachers to be able to just assign a small group of students to log in. so that they can work on specific skills. In addition to that, our interventions that we have during the school year will continue virtually. So as we get enrollment, as we, start to work on those details, families will receive a schedule. You will know when your child logging in for live sessions. You'll know when their small group time is, and you will know when they will be seeing one of our intervention teachers.
If Nurse Hardaway, if a student has asthma, will they be required to wear a mask for face-to-face?
That would be something that would be, we'd have to have a doctor's note to support that the student would not be allowed to wear masks in school. And depending on the student's age, and I'm gonna actually refer that to Mrs. Rye, because that's based on certain criteria. If the student is greater than a second grader, he's gonna be required to wear a mask. So if he has asthma and he's not required to wear a mask, he's probably going to have to go to virtual learning.
So yeah, and to follow up on that, except we can make some exceptions for anyone that cannot medically tolerate a mask. So if you are an adult in our building or a child in our building, and we have a note from a medical doctor saying you cannot medically tolerate wearing a mask because you have a certain medical condition, you can be excused.
I do want to emphasize though that there is a greater risk to not wearing a mask, even if you have medical documentation to support it. So you really need to consider what that means when you send your child to school.
Absolutely.
Okay, next question. I'm sorry, I lost it. Concerning the Chromebooks, if you have one currently, should you keep it if your child is choosing virtual learning?
If I can, you want to take it?
You can go ahead, Ms. Muller.
If you have one that you borrowed from us over the spring, you need to return that by the week of August 17th, 18th, and 19th, so that it can be updated. Those have to just be refurbished and updated, so that you will get one back, but you should turn the one in that you have, as well as the cord.
How will you implement students wearing masks all day?
Yeah, so the students in 2nd grade through 8th grade, we will have mask breaks built into the school day. I encourage families that will be sending their children to the school building to start having your child wear masks for a long period of time. This is just another routine in our school day. So we teach students, what do you do when you have to use the restroom? What do you do when you need a pencil? This is another routine that is our new normal. So we'll be teaching our students, this is the routine and the procedure around wearing your masks. Will we have mask breaks where they can pull it down? Absolutely. I also did see a question about recess, and students will still continue to have recess. We can't have a large gathering, so students will be able to go outside. We'll have one class at a time. We will make sure we're social distancing. And we'll continue to check in on some of these practices. Right now, we don't have kids moving. In the event, we have everyone in our building, and maybe we then have middle school starting to do some kind of movement in our building. But we're gonna start off with no movement. That does not mean that we won't change some of these practices. We wanna be overcautious at the beginning, and then we'll continue to monitor them and make decisions based on the CDC guidelines and our Oakland Healthy Health Department.
How will the buses be cleaned, and how will students social distance on the buses?
Good question.
So the buses, we've already met with them. They have requirements. The bus, I believe, typically takes about 56 students. So that has to be reduced to a minimum of 50%. So there'll be no more than 28 students on the bus. and they will be seated alternating positions on each seat all the way back. So kind of in a zigzag pattern. And that is with them wearing masks. So all students will have to wear masks. They will be cleaned regularly before the students come on and after they get off. The bus driver, aides, everyone will be in masks and will maintain social distancing. Temperature checks and everything will occur as well. We're also going to be asking parents to, monitor your child's health and wellness at home before they come in, and then we're going to be doing the same here at the school and before they get on the bus. So they will be cleaned regularly, like I said, before and after each group gets on and off. And if it comes to that, we have a full load. There will be no more than 28 students per bus.
Okay, thank you. What are the school hours, and will there still be early dismissal on Wednesdays?
School hours are 7:40 for in-person learning, and middle school will still end their day at 2:25. Elementary students will stay until 3:25. We will no longer have early release Wednesday due to Friday being a home learning day. The schedule for virtual will look very similar, but there will be some opportunities for live instruction, and then there will be opportunities for students to work independently at their own pace, but they will have, we are expecting that they are engaged in learning, for a typical school day, obviously with some breaks.
This parent, I guess, more than anything, they're just kind of concerned about knowing if someone has COVID, especially with the asymptomatic people. How will that be handled?
Yeah, so we're going to take every single precaution to keep anybody entering our building if you have an elevated temperature, you will not be allowed to enter our building. So staff, faculty, students, everyone will be encouraged to self-monitor every single day when you wake up. And then when you get to work or you get to school, we'll have that extra precaution of not even letting you into our building with that elevated temperature. In the event that we get a phone call that one of you call Miss Rye or Miss Petway and say, hey, my son or daughter just tested positive for COVID, what we will do then, we will contact trace. We will see who has this student been in contact with, and we will let you know that you need to continue to self-monitor for 14 days. We will let the class know, we'll let the faculty know. That's why the social distancing and the masks are another extra added precaution. But then you continue to monitor, and then you do not come into our building if you have any kind of COVID-19 symptoms or an elevated temperature. In the event we have a positive case in our building and we have to send home a staff member, say a teacher or a staff member gets sick and we send them home, or if a student is in our building because they were asymptomatic and we have to send them home because they are sick. In the event they test positive for COVID-19, we have decided as a school community, that's when we will quarantine as a school community for 14 days and everyone shifts to virtual learning. This is very much subject to change as soon as the Oakland County Health Department gives us additional guidance.
Okay, let me just add to that if you don't mind. The key word here is asymptomatic. So asymptomatic says that a person is without symptoms but still is testing positive for the disease. Understand the words, testing positive. The only way that you're going to know if you have COVID and you're not showing symptoms is to be tested. So though we cannot forcibly tell everyone to go and get a test, I will urge everyone strongly to get a test prior to coming to school, Because if you are asymptomatic, you are not going to show symptoms, but you can pass the disease. Thank you.
Can you explain briefly the dismissal process if someone has a middle school and an elementary student and they use the bus, etc.?
Yeah, so our dismissal policy is you'll either have a south side dismissal or a west side dismissal. So if you are on the first floor, kindergarten through third grade, you're on the first floor of our building, you will be south side dismissal. If you have a sibling that's on the second floor in grades 4 through 8, they will go straight to the cafeteria and dismiss with their sibling through south side. The west side entrance is reserved only for bus students and grades 4 through 8. Again, in our roadmap, we don't want any kind of congregation, so we're going to do car to classroom. So dismissal will be from the classrooms. If there is a sibling, they report to the cafeteria. If you're a bus student, you report to the gym. This way we continue to social distance and we don't have a large crowd.
Thank you. Will students have to wear uniforms and will they be able to bring backpacks to school?
Yes, they'll definitely be able to bring backpacks to school. As of right now, we have designated areas in the classroom where they'll be able to put that backpack. As of right now, grades 4 through 8 will not be using lockers because when they're using their lockers, they're in one area and we can't social distance. That doesn't mean that we won't monitor that practice and it may change. But as of right now, everyone will have that backpack. We have hooks in all of the classrooms where they can put their backpack and keep all of their supplies and their books in their backpack as opposed to in their locker.
Uniforms, yes. Yes, we will still wear uniforms. Students will still be required to wear uniforms if they are in-person learning.
And if they are virtual, they are not required to wear uniform, but we do ask that they do not come to class in PJs. We do want them to kind of follow the code for casual. You know, we may have casual Fridays during the school year. So we will ask that they follow that dress code virtually. I also want to say that in the parent newsletter that came home, there's a link with the return to learn, and there's a couple of frequently asked questions. There's a document for that. So I also ask that you kind of look at that too. If some questions come up later, you can check to see if some of the answers are located there.
Thank you. This parent wants to know what happened to the hybrid option. Why did you not choose to do 2 days face-to-face and the other days virtual?
Yeah, we wanted families to have a choice. We looked at all of the requirements from the state and we wanted to have a normal as a school day as possible. So we have this choice plan where you can choose, if you don't feel comfortable sending your child to the school, you can choose virtual. But in the event that your household dynamics, you do send your child to school, we want that to be as normal of an experience as possible. As the registrations are coming in, it seems like about 60 to 70% of our families are picking virtual learning. So that 16 looks like it's very much going to be decreased. But this is what the task force came up with. And like I mentioned before, it was over 3 different task force with board members and multiple staff members from our building, going through all of the documents and all of the survey results when we surveyed our families too. And all of that informed the overall plan.
Will students receive grades and report cards this year?
Yes, students will receive grades. They will receive report cards. Now that we've had time to plan, regardless if they are in person or virtual. It will be a typical school year as far as expectations.
Will the students receive workbooks and learning materials along with the Chromebook for parents to help with the virtual students?
Absolutely. We have been working on one-to-one materials, so books, workbooks, different materials that students would need in the building. It's now being sent home and everything is moving one-to-one. There will be no shared materials. So along with your Chromebook, you will also pick up, math, ELA, science journals, different things of that nature to support students that are learning at home. I also saw a question in here about virtual students. Virtual students will not be on the computer for 8 hours a day. They will have, they are expected to be live during live instruction. They will have self-paced learning that can be done through technology, or it can be done paper pencil.
So if there's a student that walks to school and the student gets there, their temperature is taken and it's 99.5 or above, is there a waiting room for them to go to in lieu of the parents picking them up?
Yes, one of our requirements is to have a quarantine room. Although we don't know they have COVID, we would escort them straight into the quarantine room, and that's where they would wait until someone could come and pick them up.
And also aware that the quarantine room will not be the clinic, so your students will not come to me, will not be exposed.
For those parents who choose virtual, will they receive any type of funds from the state for breakfast and lunch?
That is a great question. We will definitely work with the community on getting them meals, whether that's breakfast and lunch. We're still ironing out those logistics, but there probably will be multiple times throughout the week that you can come up, just like we've been doing all summer, where you can pick up lunch and breakfast for your child.
Will there be after-school programs for those who do face-to-face learning?
As of right now, athletics and after-school programmings have been suspended. In the event we are progressing as a region and we move to level 5, all of those programs will resume as normal. That does not mean that that may not change, but right now they have been suspended.
I don't know if they were asking about champions or thinking about champions in that question. The champions will be available.
So I would just like to piggyback and say that if you are not enrolled, if your child is not enrolled in champions, it's very important that you pick them up on time, because there's no gathering in the building and we will not have late pickup.
I'm sorry, can I jump in? I want to clarify something with the virtual. Virtual students and in-person students will not be taught at the same time. For our 4th through 8th grade, they have a rotating schedule. So sometimes their first hour may be all in-person students. Their second hour may consist of all virtual students. We are not asking teachers to have the capacity to teach in-person students and attend to the screen at the same time. For our K-3, kindergarten through 3rd grade, we are looking, and it looks like everything is working in our favor, to have one of our certified teachers be the virtual teacher for that grade level. So we will not expect both to happen simultaneously. We want to make sure that students receive a fair and equitable education regardless of their learning environment. So it is very important for us that those students that are learning virtually are getting 100% of the teacher's attention.
With all the adjustments, will the teachers be required to have additional continuing education training, such as virtual training, teaching online, or will you hire teachers that are trained to teach online?
Part of our professional development week will consist of training teachers in our Google Classroom platform, as well as all of the digital tools and how to teach lessons virtually. We will spend extensive time. We've already spent a lot of time over the summer preparing for it and preparing for what it will look like. And we are ready to walk teachers through step by step and train them on how to effectively teach virtually. Also, I want to add this piece too. Once school gets started and we start this virtual learning, parents, you will have an opportunity. We will send surveys. You will have an opportunity to have a say or communicate how things are going, and we will make adjustments if we need to. Our goal is to make sure that our students receive quality education no matter the environment. And to do that, we will constantly monitor how it's going, and we'll monitor it by receiving feedback from you all.
Yeah, and to add on to that about report cards and grades, we will be grading and there will be report cards.
Where can parents purchase uniforms?
They will, you all will be able to purchase them here at the school still. Probably more than likely they'll be ready for the August 24th and 25th when you're picking up your laptops. All of the information for that will be coming out soon, and you'll be able to purchase them, and they will still be $10 for sure. And I did see a question about a second grade color for their uniform. So all of our bottoms are the same, khaki and black. K through 2 is the kids wear burgundy shirts. 3 through 5, the kids wear black shirts, and middle school kids wear gray.
If the student takes the bus, in the event that the parent leaves and the student has a temperature, what would you do?
Okay, repeat that question, please. I'm sorry.
So if the student takes the bus and they arrive at school and they have a temperature, what would you do in that event?
Isolate the child and call the parent to come pick the child up. But they would have to, and this is extremely important. When we call and ask that you come and pick the child up, we've isolated the child. It is extremely important that you come as soon as possible to get the child. I can recommend that the child be taken to urgent care or wherever your primary physician is. However, it would be up to you. The only thing that we would be able to honor is that the temperature would have to be less than 99.5 before the child can return in 24 hours. It has to be 24 hours, so the student will have to be temperature free.
Are teachers required to get COVID testing before school starts?
Not a requirement, but highly recommended.
What if a parent works and cannot be at home to do virtual during regular school hours? When one-on-one instruction due to, this student has a medical condition, so they would not be able to come to school, but the parent has to work. How would that go?
That is a really, really, really good question. All live sessions will be recorded, so parents will have an opportunity to do it later. However, that's such a unique circumstance. I would actually want to speak with that parent, because to me, it'd be very important if that student has some engagement live with an educator, right? With either an interventionist or a teacher. And so trying to figure out is there a time in the day that would work for this child to be live and to actually be able to ask questions and, you know, converse with a teacher. So that is really a case by case scenario, and I would want to speak with that parent further.
And lastly, I think Ms. Tanner's still with us. Just a couple of enrollment questions. If a parent has filled out an application for a kindergartner and there is a form in there for discipline, would they need to have that filled out? And also, if you've done an application, when will you be notified if your child is accepted?
We are making calls all this week to parents who have completed an application, following up with them to make sure that their documents have been turned in. We do realize that there's this COVID and there may be some schools that aren't responding very quickly. So we're not going to leave you hanging if you don't have those documents, but you can also reach out to me via email at ltanner@pace.k8.com if you don't hear from us this week, if you have problems. But we are definitely going to let all of the parents know by next week. If you are a middle school parent and we're not getting those documents, I will also try to reach out to the schools myself to receive any disciplinary forms. But as far as birth certificates, shot records, and things of that nature, we are going to work with you. We understand that getting to the doctor is very difficult at this time. So we're not going to say, no, your children can't come. Our plan is to enroll all the students, but some things as far as IEPs and 504s, those documents must be reviewed by our special education department before we accept your student. But you'll hear from us definitely by Monday if your student has been accepted or not.
And if you have a student that has an IEP, you're a current student, how will they be addressed as far as learning and if they need any type of testing done?
The academic achievement team, the director, the teachers, they will set up a meeting with parents for students with IEPs to make sure that accommodations and modifications are being made even through a virtual platform. So they will follow up with the students that have been identified.
And then, will there be recess and gym classes?
Yes, we're still going to have our fine arts if you do face-to-face or virtual. We'll still have STEM, art, gym, music, that it will still happen whether you're virtual or in person. And if you're in person, we will absolutely go outside and have recess. And Champions is also available before and after school. So you would have to enroll your child in Champions if you are dropping your child off at 7:20. The first temperature check will be done at 7:40. So come, you can line up, but our first temperature check will be at 7:40. If you're going to come earlier, you'll be waiting in your car, or you can sign up for Champions.
And can you please explain how the middle school students will wait for the younger grades to get out if they have a sibling?
I think Ms. Ride, did you mention that the middle school students who have younger siblings will wait in the cafeteria?
Yes, but for that last hour of the day, they will be involved in academics. So they won't just be sitting waiting in their classroom. That is a scheduling issue. And that last hour of the day for middle school students they will be actively involved with learning.
And I think the last question I have is, this parent said that they have hired a licensed teacher to help their students with math and English. Is that encouraged?
Well, I would never discourage additional support. I will say, just to make sure that there's no confusion, once we send out the schedules for virtual learning, once we educate parents and students on these digital tools, that the tutor is working alongside the classroom teacher in partnership and not necessarily teaching things different, I would say. But I think it's awesome if you have the resources to have someone in addition to the virtual teacher working with your child. I think that that is a great thing to do.
I saw a question about, will parents be notified if their virtual student decides not to log on for the day? Absolutely. So we will be taking attendance, and attendance is a two-way communication. So we will have expectations and the teachers will go over that, but we want high engagement levels. So there is an expectation that they show up and communicating with their teacher so we can take attendance, because then they will be marked absent. And then we will definitely be reaching out to families if we see that your virtual kid is not showing up.
I also see someone asked a question of, I don't know if we're answering the question as far as dismissal. And Ms. Rye, you can jump in, but it will still be classroom to car. So students will not be dismissed, you know, the way that they were last year or in previous years. We will not have students in the hallway at the same time. We will dismiss them as their parents arrive to pick them up. Is that?
Yep, that's exactly it. We will, wherever we don't want a large group, and we don't want anywhere in the building to form a line. So the goal is we can't form a line anywhere, and we don't want to congregate in large groups anywhere. So we'll do car to classroom. And then all of the questions today we'll put in one document on frequently asked questions, and we will absolutely get that emailed out to you.
There's two more questions and then we're going to end this. We already covered uniforms will be able to be purchased at the school when we have orientation, 24th and 25th of August. Once COVID is contained, I'm sorry, my screen moved. How or when will testing and placement of students be performed? I think we covered that there'd be quarantine. Everyone would quarantine for 14 days. Everyone would go virtual if there is a case.
Camille,
Yeah.
can you put her one on the plate? Go get one.
I'm sorry, can everyone mute, please? And then, I think that's about it.
Let me just go over K1 masks again. If you are in kindergarten or first grade, we are not requiring at the school level that they wear the masks inside the classroom. But if they are in the hallway or going to go to the restroom, or they have to go to a different area of the building, they will have to wear their mask. As a parent, if you tell us, I want my kindergarten student or first grade student to wear the mask, we will absolutely have that in place, and know that the teacher will be wearing a mask also, but that our teachers' masks will be clear so the students can see the lips and the facial expressions of the teacher, especially in kindergarten and first grade, where reading and phonics is the foundation.
Also,
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Ms.
Okay, I just wanted to talk about masks for a minute, especially for our little ones. We've got to make this as comfortable and as fun for them, as we can. They've got a lot of great little masks with action figures and all those things that the kids like and would want to have on their faces at Target, Walmart, and I also think Myers sells them. If they wear a cloth mask, it must be cleaned every day. Cloth masks are probably going to be a little bit more economical for you. And I prefer them too, because they feel like they're easier to breathe through. There really is no difference, but it does feel better. Also, if you do go for the paper mask, you can buy those in bulk also. So I just wanted to give you that heads up.
I just want, someone asked me a private question, and I just wanted to share it with the group. I want you all to know, as a leadership team and everyone that has supported and worked with us on, reopening our school, this is just one of many meetings, especially for our virtual families. School will not start August 31st, and you are given a laptop and told to just go with it. We will have parent meetings. We want you to be comfortable with using all of the digital tools that we provide, and we will support. This is probably one of the best opportunities for us to really partner in this during this school year. So you will receive invites to attend parent meetings by your homeroom teachers. I encourage you all to attend. I encourage you all to attend the meetings that Ms. Mullen will facilitate. We will have additional education and learning for families on how to support your child virtually.
Yeah, we will provide masks for students that do forget them, and also shields. So our teachers will have shields in the event that there is a difference between masks and shields. So you have to have the mask, and the shield does not replace a mask. So the CDC guidelines are very, very clear that a shield does not protect as well as the mask does. So we have to do masks first, and then if you want to do a shield on top of that, you can.
A parent asked about printers and scanners. Our publishers for the curriculums that we currently use have worked extremely hard to create digital tools. I don't think you will need to print and scan anything. They will be PDFs that students can download, do the work, and upload it to Google Classroom. In the event that there are assignments that need to be scanned in, we can share a resource with you. I use a scanner on my cell phone called CamScan, and I just take the picture and you can email it from your cell phone. So we'll kind of share those types of different tools that are available. If you want to purchase a printer, I mean, by all means, but we want to make it where you don't have to necessarily undergo any additional costs.
I just want to mention that I saw someone asked about orientation. Is it going to be virtual? Because we are virtual with just about everything now, it's so important that parents log into PowerSchool. That's another means of following your students' grades, attendance, and assignments. So all of that will be in PowerSchool. So if you have not used PowerSchool, please send me an email at ltanner@pace-8.org, and you will be able to receive your username and password. And that's how we're going to do orientation. When you go into PowerSchool, all of your documents will be in there, and we'll send another email about that later on. Right now, we want to focus on you all registering for school, but orientation will be done entirely online and virtual in regards to the document pieces, but you still will have to come to pick up supplies if you're virtual, the Chromebooks, the workbooks and textbooks and things of that nature. And then we will have time for the parents who are not virtual to pick up their uniforms and things. But we just want to make sure that you all get on PowerSchool. It's going to be very important this year to track your students' grades, attendance, and assignments.
I just wanted to add one more thing about the Chromebook as well. Again, if you have a Chromebook that you borrowed from when we closed down, you do need to return that the week of the 17th. And everyone will shortly, probably within the next week, receive, when we find out who's virtual and who's in person, you'll receive an agreement. It'll be a Google form, So it will be electronic, where you can complete that so that we'll be able to, our IT team will be able to assign the Chromebook. And so when pickup comes, it's all flawless and they're already labeled and ready to go. So you will receive that agreement. People who receive Chromebooks earlier are already familiar with that. So it'll be the same kind of Google form. It'll be a letter and it'll be an agreement that you just check the boxes and that's your permanent agreement for the borrowing the Chrome.
Also, may I chime in?
Sure.
Okay, great, thanks. I just want to make sure that you guys, when Mrs. Mullen resumes the parent newsletter, I will be resuming the Nurses Corner. That will be an excellent opportunity for you to learn where the CDC guidelines are, what's going on with the COVID virus, and other useful information that will be helpful for you in the medical sense. So please make sure and read those nursing corners. When I was doing my calls in the summer, a lot of the parents didn't even know that the nursing corner was there. So it is in the newsletter. Please refer to it. It will have really good information for you.
Yep. I just want to touch on real quick, Ms. Petway's supply list. We
I
will
was just about to talk about.
Yep, we'll send out a supply list, and that will change quarterly. And then we will be publishing our school calendar. The 2020-2021 school calendar will be published on our website and our social media in the next coming days. But August 31st is the first day of school for students in grades 1st through 8th grade. Kindergarten students will be starting 1 week later, so we can onboard our kindergarten families and students.
I just have one last question to answer. It is regarding schedules when you have multiple students. We need to look at that a little bit more. I can't necessarily say that they will not have assignments at the same time as the other students or the other children in your home. I can tell you that each student will have their own Chromebook and each student will, be engaged with the teacher on the live screen. So hopefully it will minimize the need for you to interact with the kids because the teacher will be responsible for managing that classroom virtually and teaching that classroom virtually. Some of the suggestions, if you have multiple students, you may want to consider headphones just so that they're not hearing the feedback of one another, and trying to space them out as much as you can throughout the house. So maybe each student has their own area for learning each day so that they're not necessarily sitting next to each other just for distraction purposes.
Okay.
I'll just end with this, and then Ms. Mullen, you can, have some final words. There is no wrong choice, and we are in the middle of a health crisis, and Pace Academy will get it done. We got it done in March when we had to shift everyone to remote learning. We continue to get better, and we will continue to use lessons learned from the past to get better. One of the reasons I imagine you are at Pace and you're at a charter school is for innovation. The leadership team and teachers, we're looking at this as how can we be innovative? How can we do virtual learning and how can we do it really, really well? So please know it is a difficult decision, but there is no wrong decision. And that registration deadline is on Monday. So please make sure you get that in by then.
And I'm sorry, I know we need to wrap up, but a parent had one last question. Kindergarten will have kind of like a staggered start. So if you are a parent of a kindergarten student, you will receive more information as far as when your child is expected to be in school. School does start on the 31st of August, as Ms. Rice stated, but kindergarten students will have a certain time they'll come in, kind of meet their teacher, do some assessments before they start full days. So you will receive more information regarding that very, very soon.
Great.
If
Awesome.
we did not answer any questions, please email us. We want to make sure that we answer every question you could possibly have.
Great. All right, thank you for everyone for attending. We actually had a great crowd. We were between 80 and 100 parents on throughout, so it's really been great. We wanted to do this to inform parents because we want you to make a decision, but we want you to make the decision that's best for your family with all of the information possible to help you make that choice. So you have my email address and others. You know you can find us on the website and through our social media platforms. Please, if you have other questions, make sure that you just send them to us so you can be comfortable in making those decisions. We have another town hall this evening at 6 o'clock. So if you know someone who was unable to make today, remind them to come out tonight. I will send out a text blast reminding everyone. And again, thank you so much for coming.
This will be recorded
Thank you.
on our website.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.